Hi, everyone. This is Austin Carty. I'm the pastor of Boulevard Baptist Church in Anderson, South Carolina. And I come to you today with what I hope is a word of encouragement. In the last 24 hours, I have been on several different Zoom conference calls for several very different reasons. I just recently got off of one that was for my daughters and their respective dance classes. And both of them are in different classes. So, April, my wife, was downstairs with one of our daughters, trying to help her do her virtual dance class while I was upstairs with my other daughter, trying to help her with her virtual dance class. Yesterday, I was on a call with a cohort that I'm in for a school program. Um, Earlier today, I was on a call with our staff at my church. And then I've been on various other uh, church related conference calls as well. And I say all that to say that I've now uh, not only seen the faces of, but heard the kind of exhausted inflections of lots of different folks who are all juggling lots of different things in this new paradigm that we're all living in. Um, and I mention that because I want to flag something that I've been saying and that I know lots of other ministers have been saying, and certainly not just ministers, just um, uh, humanitarians of all different kinds who've been trying to help us find um, the kind of beauty in the ugliness and the meaning in the chaos. And that's that here are opportunities for us to attend to things in our lives that really matter, things that we don't often get to attend to. And that is absolutely true. I will keep saying that. Many of these daily words of encouragement will continue to try to draw our attention back to this fact because it's real. We really do have an opportunity here to be present to our loved ones and our families in a way that we aren't always. We have an opportunity to attend to our own passions and hobbies, to just stop and take a look at the beauty of the world around us. All of these things are true. But what I want to flag today is that we don't want that to be too simplistic. We don't want to feel the pressure now of trying to squeeze nothing but bliss and joy out of these simple gifts and blessings that we have. And the reason that has any bearing on the conversations and the folks that I referenced earlier from these Zoom calls is that I think that unless we take care to give ourselves the permission to say, yes, these are wonderful blessings we have and we're grateful for them, but we're also exhausted, that there's some suffering involved in this, and to give ourselves the grace of naming that, and to name that these things are not mutually exclusive, that we can love this added time with family and love the kind of slow pace that we're moving at, being kind of stuck at home and in these more limited lives that we're living, that this can be true while at the same time it can be really, really stressful and anxiety inducing. That's only been compounded here where I live in South Carolina within the last hour from when I'm recording this, as our governor has just declared that schools will not be back in session until April 30th at this point. Um, and so there are a lot of folks who are looking around and thinking, this is taxing me, this is exhausting me, this is taking everything I have, and there's no telling when it's going to ease up. And all these other people are finding the beauty in it, but I'm just trying to hold it all together. Um, I think we need to acknowledge that all of us are just trying to hold it all together, that nobody has this thing completely figured out yet, and that it's okay to not feel bliss and joy in every single moment. That naming that does not run counter to the fact that nonetheless we're grateful for these blessings that we have. And I was thinking about two things. One is about something that the philosopher Soren Kierkegaard wrote in a book. I think it was in his book Either or. It might have been in a book called Philosophical Fragments. So it doesn't matter. That's completely irrelevant. But he talks about these different gradations in the way we view life. And he talks about first the character, the prototype he calls the aesthete. That person only lives for pleasure and for thrill and pure enjoyment. And that sometimes for people who are aesthetes, they then find themselves being beckoned to lives that actually have obligation and routine and that seem mundane and that seem all the things that they would have found boring and constrictive before, but they jump into that and they find themselves, he says, quote, surprised by joy. That the difficulty of the routines, the stress of the obligation, the pressure of the commitment, that when you keep giving yourself to it over and over and over again, the sum total of that which is being built becomes qualitatively so much greater than the cheap fleeting thrills that are experienced in the life of the aesthete. And I mention that because I think that's a helpful window into thinking about what's going on right now and how we can be both really grateful for the opportunities to attend to the small and simple blessings of our lives, and yet also be completely overwhelmed and exhausted by them at the same time. They don't always have to be thrilling and blissful. What happens is when we keep attending to them, the sum total of what we're building becomes something so much richer and greater than just being out attending to our usual daily wants and desires. And that also has me then thinking about something that the Apostle Paul writes in the 5th chapter of the book of Romans. Something that I think is often misinterpreted. And I'm just going to read a small section of it. He writes, we boast also in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope. When I say that I think that's often misinterpreted, I think oftentimes people read that as saying, of Paul saying that God gives us sufferings so as to build in us this capacity for hope. I think that's a misreading of that. I think suffering is just endemic to what it means to be alive and to be human. And that we don't ask for sufferings. We certainly aren't to be grateful for sufferings, but nonetheless that through the crucible of hardship, we oftentimes are formed in a way that our character is enlarged, and we take on this capacity for hope and, as Kierkegaard would say, for joy that we hadn't known previously. Doesn't mean we're thankful for the difficulty and the hardship. It just means that we are grateful for the kind of growth that it occasions. Right now, my daughter, as you can see, is coming in. This is one of the hardships that I'm speaking of. Can you give Daddy 1 second to finish this?
No, Daddy, it needs to be right now.
Okay.
What would happen to my foot?
Oh, my gracious. Listen, this needs to be attended to right now. If I attend to this right now, while I will not find great joy in that, someday down the road, this is going to be what's much more important than recording this video. So my word of encouragement to you tonight, give yourself grace. It's okay to be both thankful for the blessings of the present moment, but also exhausted and overwhelmed by the responsibilities. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Be blessed. Have a wonderful night, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Amen.